Good morning, students. Today we shall study de Broglie's explanation of Bohr's second postulate. So, in the previous classes we have studied Bohr's postulates. Let us recall the second postulate given by Bohr. It is also called as Bohr's quantization condition. According to this postulate, only those orbits are allowed for which the angular momentum of the electron is an integral multiple of h over 2 pi. That is, angular momentum L is equals to nh upon 2 pi. So, why the angular momentum should be an integral multiple of h over 2 pi? So, the explanation of this postulate was given by de Broglie 10 years later. So, we have also studied de Broglie's hypothesis in the previous chapter. According to de Broglie, every material particle of matter which is in motion is associated with a wave, and the wavelength of the wave associated with the moving material particle is given as lambda is equals to h upon mv, where h is Planck's constant and mv is nothing but momentum of the particle. Also, let us recall about the stationary waves which you have learnt last year. I will explain it here. Suppose you have a string which is fixed at two ends, A and B. If you plug the string, the incident wave travels from A to B. At the end B, the wave is reflected back, so it takes a backward path like this. So this is your incident wave and this is your reflected wave. This incident and reflected waves superpose on each other and produce what are called as stationary waves. Why the word stationary is used here? The word stationary is used because the wave does not move in any direction. It is a standing wave, and because the wave is not in motion, it does not transfer energy. So there is no transfer of energy in the case of a stationary wave. And what is the condition for the formation of a stationary wave? So we had studied that the total distance travelled, that is back and forth, this distance is 2L, and this distance should be an integral multiple of lambda. So 2L is equals to n lambda, where n is an integer, 1, 2, 3, etc. So this is the condition for the stationary wave. Now let us go to the Bohr's atomic model. Let us say you have an hydrogen atom. This is the nucleus of the hydrogen atom. Around this nucleus, let us say an electron is revolving in the nth circular orbit of radius Rn with a velocity Vn. Now this electron is moving in the orbit. So every moving particle is associated with a wave. Therefore, there is a wave associated with the moving electron. Then what kind of wave is associated here? Now, according to first postulate given by Bohr, as long as an electron revolves in one particular orbit, it does not radiate energy. So, the energy of the electron is constant in a given orbit. So, in the stationary waves also there is no transfer of energy. Therefore, we can say that when an electron revolves in a particular orbit, because the energy is constant, stationary waves are formed along the orbit. Now, what is the condition of stationary waves? Total distance travelled is equals to n lambda. Then, in the case of this circular motion, the total distance travelled will be nothing but circumference of the circle. And because the radius is Rn, the circumference of the circle will be nothing but 2 pi Rn. So, circumference 2 pi Rn should be equal to integral multiple of lambda, n lambda. Now, this moving electron is associated with a wave, and according to de Broglie's hypothesis, the wavelength of the wave is given as lambda is equals to h upon mvn. So, let us substitute the value of lambda here and simplify. Therefore, 2 pi Rn will be n into lambda. So, lambda value is h upon mvn. So, you have the relation 2 pi Rn is equals to nh upon mvn. Let us rearrange the terms. We shall cross multiply. We shall take mvn Rn on one side. So, mvn Rn is equals to 2 pi you transfer to the other side. So it will be nothing but nh upon 2 pi. Now what is mvnrn? It is nothing but angular momentum of the electron. We denote it by the letter L. Therefore, this mvnrn is the angular momentum L, and L is equals to nh upon 2 pi. That is, angular momentum of the electron is an integral multiple of h over 2 pi. So this is nothing but Bohr's second postulate. So we have explained Bohr's second postulate using de Broglie's hypothesis. So this is de Broglie's explanation of the second postulate given by Bohr. Now let us go to the next point. We shall discuss about the merits and demerits of Bohr's atomic model. Let us come to the merits first. What are the merits of Bohr's atomic model? So we have seen that whenever an electron jumps from higher energy state to the lower energy state, a spectral line is emitted. Therefore, this Bohr's model explains the origin of spectral lines. Why spectral lines are emitted? It is due to electronic transition from higher level to lower level. Also, we have derived the equation for the wavelength of the emitted spectral line. We have seen the relation 1 by lambda is equals to r into bracket 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square, where n2 is greater than n1. So this relation gives you the wavelength of the emitted spectral line. So second merit is it calculates the wavelength of the emitted spectral line. Then third, we have also calculated the radius of the orbit, that is Rn equals to epsilon 0 n square h square upon pi m e square. So it calculates the radius of the orbits. So because you know the radius of the orbits, we know the size of the atom. So it predicts the size of the atom. Then in Rutherford's model, we had seen that this accelerated electron continuously loses energy. It takes a spiral path and finally falls into the nucleus, and therefore atom is not stable. So this drawback is overcome in Bohr's atomic model. According to Bohr's atomic model, as long as it revolves in one particular orbit, it does not radiate energy. Therefore, it does not fall into the nucleus. That is, the atom will be stable. So it explains the stability of the atom. So these are the merits of Bohr's atomic model. What are the merits? First is it explains the origin of spectral lines. It calculates the wavelength of the spectral lines. It predicts the size of atom, and it explains the stability of atoms. So these are some of the merits of Bohr's atomic model. Now let us come to the most important one, limitations or drawbacks or the demerits of Bohr's atomic model. So, to what kind of atom Bohr's atomic model is applicable? It is applicable only for a single electron system. That is, in that atom there should be only one electron, like a hydrogen atom, or you can take some ionized atoms like helium plus has got only one electron, or lithium double plus also has one electron. So only for a single electron system this model is applicable. If the number of electrons are more, then it becomes a complex system, and for that system Bohr's atomic model is not applicable. So this is the first limitation of Bohr's atomic model. Then second, in the spectrum of the spectral lines, some lines are very bright and some are dim. That is, there is intensity difference between the spectral lines, and this relative intensities of spectral lines cannot be explained by the Bohr's atomic model. Then it does not explain the fine structure of the spectral lines. Also, if you apply an electric or magnetic field, the spectral lines split, and this splitting of spectral lines cannot be explained by Bohr's atomic model. Then the wave nature of the electron is not explained by Bohr's atomic model. So what are the limitations? It is applicable only for a single electron system. It does not explain the relative intensities of spectral lines. It does not explain the fine structure of spectral lines. It does not explain the splitting of spectral lines when electric or magnetic field is applied, and it does not account for the wave nature of electrons. So these are the limitations of Bohr's atomic model. So let us summarize the points which we have done now. First, we have studied de Broglie's explanation of Bohr's second postulate. So according to de Broglie's hypothesis, this electron moving in an orbit is associated with the wave, and the wavelength of the wave is given by lambda is equals to h upon mvn, where mvn is nothing but momentum of the electron. Also, when an electron moves in the orbit, because the energy remains constant, the stationary waves are formed along the orbit, and the condition for stationary waves is total distance travelled is equals to n lambda. So here the total distance travelled is nothing but circumference of the circle. So 2 pi rn is equals to n lambda. Then put the value of lambda here, h upon mvn, and simplify. You get a relation mvn rn is equals to nh upon 2 pi. So this mvn rn is nothing but angular momentum. So you have the condition angular momentum L is equals to nh upon 2 pi. So this is de Broglie's explanation of Bohr's second postulates. Then we have seen the merits of Bohr's atomic model. What are the merits? It explains the origin of spectral lines. It calculates the wavelength of the spectral lines. It predicts the size of the atom, and it explains the stability of the atom. Then what are the demerits? It is applicable only for a single electron system. Then it does not explain the relative intensities of spectral lines. It does not explain the fine structure of spectral lines. It does not explain the splitting of spectral lines when electric or magnetic field is applied, and it does not explain the wave nature of electrons. So this is all about the chapter atoms. So we complete the chapter here. So what is very important in this chapter? So first is the Bohr's postulates, then derivations for the radius of the orbit, then total energy of the electron in the orbit, then the wavelength of the emitted spectral line, that is this formula 1 by lambda is equals to r into bracket 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square, then the spectral series of hydrogen atom and the energy level diagram, and the limitations of Bohr's atomic model are also important. So this is all about the chapter atoms. Thank you.